All right, we are going to be on lesson 22, the problem set, and this is page 93. This is going to talk a little bit more about equivalent fractions, which we started a couple days ago. I know that trying to look at them on the number lines like this, like we were doing in class yesterday, is a little bit confusing, and it's a little bit like, whoa, it kind of overwhelms your mind a little bit. But these are also going to show equivalent fractions, and so maybe to you, seeing them in pictures instead of these number lines that look like, oh my goodness, what's going on here, these might look a little more simple. So maybe if you're still having a little bit of trouble, I'm hoping this will help too, especially if you think about those little magnet pictures, those circles that we have in the front of our classroom, that allow you, once I showed you the pictures, once I showed you like those magnets in the class that were like 1/2 and how like the 2/4 were the same size, and you were like, oh, okay, that's kind of what this is going to do here, except it's just using squares instead of circles like we have on our wall. Okay, so I covered some of these up because I've done them already. Because if you look up here at the top, I know there's fractions up there, I was writing some things down. The directions say, write the shaded fraction of each figure on the blank, then draw a line to match the equivalent, and I wrote the word equal above equivalent since it means the same thing, fractions. So draw a line to match the equivalent fractions. So I already did step 1, which was just to write the shaded fraction for each figure, for each shape. So I want you to pause your video, and I want you to go ahead and beside each of these, I want you just to write what fraction is shaded in. And then we'll do the next step and then unpause. Okay, so you should have paused. I hope you paused. And now it should look like this on yours. This is 1/2, 4/6, 3/4, 3 out of 4, 3/9. There are 3 out of 9 shaded, 2/3 because there are 2 out of the 3, 1/3, 1 out of the 3, 2/4, and this one should have been 6/8 because there are 6 shaded out of 8 altogether. Okay, now I also did the first one for you, which they wanted you to connect the ones, hold on a second, connect the ones that were equivalent. So yesterday we did 1/2 on the number line. So I'm actually going to flip back. Flip back. Oh, it was not on mine because we did it on the board. Hold on. I'll flip it right to right here. Yesterday we did 1/2, and we found that it was equal to 2/4 on your number line. And if you remember, we talked about how did we get from here to here. So we got to get from the 1 to the 2, what did we do? Well, we multiplied by 2. So then you do the same thing on the bottom. To get from 2 to 4, what do? You multiply by 2, which is what makes these two equivalent. 1/2 is going to be the same as 2/4. Plus, if you look at the amount that's shaded in, it's just like those circles that are on the front of our room. This piece right here, if you looked at this one, it's like the exact same size. I know it's a different side of the shape, but it's the same size. Okay, so then I connected those together because they were equal. Those pieces were the same size. So now I'm going to look at 4/6. So I need to find the fraction over here that's equivalent to 4/6. So I think the easiest thing to do is going to be to you're going to have to kind of guess at first to get started. So I'm going to look for one over here that is mostly gray. See how like on this square, there's more gray, there's more shaded than unshaded. There's only a teeny bit that's still white and the rest of it's shaded in. So I'm going to look over here, and I'm going to start by just guessing one of them that is sort of like that, where there's a lot of gray and just a little bit of the white left. Okay, so let's try this one. Because if I look at the 2/3 up here at the top, this one has it's mostly shaded in with just a little bit of the shape left white. So let's see if we can figure out if 4/6 and 2/3 are equal. Okay, so this is just one of those where you just try and see. So I'm just going to find a little spot up here. And actually, I already wrote this one. 4/6, 2/3. So let's try and see. Now remember, if they're equivalent, that means I can multiply or divide the top and the bottom by the same thing. I'm going to say it again. If they're equivalent, I can multiply the top, the numerators, by something, and the denominators by something. So I can get from here to here in the same way that I can get from here to here if they're equivalent. Okay, so let me see. How would I get from 4 to 2? Well, I can't multiply because 2 is smaller. But like someone, CJ, told us yesterday, you can divide too. So, because dividing and multiplying, they're the same thing. They're just like the opposite from each other. So to get from 4 to 2, what would I have to do? Well, I know 4 divided by 2 equals 2. Okay. So if these are equivalent, that means if I do the same thing on the bottom, on my denominators, that it should work out too, if they're equivalent. So let's see. If I divide this by 2, does it also work? 4 divided by 2 is 2. 6 divided by 2, is that 3? So 6 divided by 2. 2, 4, 6, 3 times. Yes. So those are equivalent. So then I can connect these two together. All right. Got 2 more. 3/4. Okay, same as this one right here. If I look at 3/4, it looks like more of it is, or most of it is shaded in with just a little bit that's not. So I'm going to try to find one over here that's sort of like that. So if I look at this one, 1/3, well, 1/3, most of it, 1/3 is like the opposite. 1/3, most of it is not shaded. So I'm not going to guess that one to start out with. So I'm going to try this one, because this one is similar to this in that most of this is shaded and most of this is shaded. So maybe those are the ones that are equivalent. So let's see if 3/4 is equivalent to 6/8. Let's stick these down here. 3/4, 6/8. Now, same thing as we did just a second ago. If these are equivalent, that means I can do the same thing to the numerators, okay? I can get from here to here in the same way that I can get from here to here. So to get from 3 to 6, what do? 3, well, I know I need to multiply because this is bigger. How do I get from 3 to 6 if I'm multiplying? Well, 3 times 3 is not 6. 3 times 3 is 9. So 3 times... Oh, okay, to get from 3 to 6, I multiply by 2. 3 times 2 is 6. Okay, now, that means if I do that same thing below on my denominators, and it works out, those two are equivalent. So let's see. If I multiply by 2 here, can I multiply by 2 down here? 4 times 2. Is 4 times 2 8? 4, 8. Yep. So 3/4, 6/8. Those are equivalent. Which leaves those have to match. Okay. Turn over and we're going to do 94. On page 94, all you have to do is write what is shaded in to figure out what's equivalent. Number 2 says, write the missing parts of the fractions. So this one, they've already filled in. 1/3 is shaded. And then if you look at these are equivalent because if you look at the rectangles, this shaded part is the same size as this. Yes, it's divided up differently, like this rectangle is divided into 3 pieces, and this rectangle is divided into 6. But if you don't worry about the lines, you don't worry about how it's split up, and you just look at like those shaded in parts at the bottom, they're both the exact same size, just like those circles on the wall in the front of the room. This is the same size as this. It's just divided up differently. It'd be like if you had a candy bar and divided it into thirds, and then you had the exact same candy bar and divided it into 6. This piece that you use right here is still the same as this piece right here. It's just split up again. Okay, so this one, 1/3 is shaded in. 1/3 is going to be equal to, well, if you did the same thing, imagine like you took these and divided it up more, which is basically what they did. 1/3 is equal to how many of these? 6. 1, 2. Okay? If you took this candy bar and split it into 3 pieces, if you ate 1/3, you would eat this much. If you took that same candy bar and you split it into 6 pieces, and then you ate 2, you would have eaten the same amount as when you split it into thirds and had 1. 1 of the thirds is equal to 2 of the 6. Okay? Because they're the same size. Okay, this one right here. This one's missing the denominator. So 2 somethings is equal to 1/4. Well, I know the 1/4 is coming from right here because there's 1 out of 4. So right here, 2, what's my denominator? Let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8. There's 8 pieces altogether. So 2/8 is equal to 1/4. Same thing as the other one, because the pieces are the same size. If this was I don't know, I'm tired of making it food, but I don't know what else to make it. If this was a pan of brownies and it was cut into 8 pieces and you ate 2, or if you had that same pan of brownies and you cut it into 4 pieces and you had 1, you would have eaten the same amount of brownies if you had 2 of the 1/8 or if you had 1 of the 4ths. Because if you kind of look, you can see this is the same size as this. Okay, this one right here, 4/8. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's this one right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, 4/8 is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What? How many pieces are there in all? Well, if you look at each one of these kind of looks like a square with 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. So you got 4, 8, 12, 16. So 8/16. 4/8 is equal to 8/16. Okay, we are going to talk a little bit more about this today. What I want you to try to do is we're going to do this one together and this one together. Maybe this one. This one will probably be like a bonus. It's a terrible star. And I will probably have you try this one on your own at some point. But if you want to go ahead and start this page, since we've done everything together, there's really not anything you did on your own. The only thing I want you to do on your own today is start the lesson 22 homework page, which is page 95. The only thing I want you to do to start it is just write the fraction that's shaded in. So for example, this one, 1 out of 2 is shaded in, so I'm just going to write 1/2. You don't have to match them to the one that's equivalent. Okay, all I want you to do is just go through and write what fraction is shaded in for all of those, because then at least that little step will be done. Okay, thank you. Have a great day with your wonderful teacher.